Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Rachel and I make planty content, planty repots, planty tours, planty how-tos, pretty much anything to do with plants. Today I have a ranking of my favorite climbing philodendrons that I have. I currently have 8 climbing philodendrons. So we are going to be going through my favorites, my least favorites, why they're not my favorite, why they are my favorite, how easy they are, etc. So let's jump into it. To start off, I'm going to show you the 2 philodendrons that I just recently put on moss poles, like as in 2 days ago, and I'll link the video so you can see that. But I'm going to exclude them from the ranking because it doesn't seem fair to judge them when they've only been on a moss pole for 2 days. So they, rightly so, don't look completely amazing or settled in. So the first one is my philodendron Florida Ghost, and she is a little crazy, but like I said, that is okay. She's just been on there for a couple days, but I see the potential and I do love her very much. So that is the first one that is kind of going to be excluded. The second one that I'm going to exclude from the ranking is my new philodendron Bernardo PI? It'll be on the screen. But this one is also new and it looks very sad because I bought her as a propagation, and she had a bunch of water roots, and I kind of thought that if I put her in leca and had the water really high in the pot that she would be fine. But as you can see, these water roots or whatever roots that she had as a propagation are dry and crispy. So I'm just trying to keep the moss pole moist and the leca topped up, and I'm thinking that she will recover. We have a new leaf coming in right there, so hopefully that won't be affected too much. But yeah, she's also excluded. Out of the remaining 6, I'm going to start with my least favorite. Unfortunately, my least favorite is my philodendron gigas. Very delicately. A lot of my moss pole setups are very precarious, so I have to be very careful when I handle them, otherwise they will topple to the ground. So this is my philodendron gigas. I will give you a view top down. As you can see, she does have some really nice leaves, really dark, luscious. You can see, even though they're not the biggest leaves, you can kind of see some of that definition, but they can get a little funky if you don't as I should mention, a lot of these, like whenever I have discrepancies with these plants, a lot of it is just user error. So it's not a reflection of the plant, and if you have that plant, it could be doing amazing, which it probably will, because you'll be on top of your watering, like I am not always. So that is to preface this. This is why I have leaves that look like this. And also I moved, so there was issues with lighting and watering and stuff like that, but that's just an excuse. So currently my least favorite is the philodendron gigas, unfortunately, because I love the leaves so much, but just what it's given me so far, which is my fault, has her at the bottom. Next up on the list is my philodendron splendid. So my philodendron splendid and my philodendron glorious look very similar right now because they're both juvenile, but the splendid is, well, just let me show you. Okay, so the philodendron, or the splendid, you can, oh God, there's ants on this. Not me as I'm talking about why the plant's not doing well. So the leaves are nice. They were getting bigger. There's some yellowing. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's some yellowing that I don't really like. I think again that is user error. We'll see how this new leaf comes in, if it does come in. Some of the leaves I've been having emerge on my plants from the move, when they had new-ish leaves during the move, have just been like stopped. They just stopped right here, and they just continued to grow on the stalk and just left the leaf like this. I don't know if they didn't have enough water and it got too dry and it just dried up like that, but that's just been happening. But another reason why this is my least favorite is because whenever I got it, the leaves look like this. Let me see if I can show you. Like they were crinkly and tiny and just really messed up. So, I mean, look at that. Like it went from this to this. So it definitely was doing what it was supposed to be doing. But again, I think user error for lack of water has caused it to go a little bit yellow. I think maybe I was using too much light. Could be the only other reason for that. Maybe like, not like a burn, but I don't know. It was just a feeling. So hopefully now that I'm on top of my watering schedule, we will see bigger leaves and less yellowing. Next up, which I think this is number 4 on my list, is going to be my philodendron melanochrysum. So the melanochrysum, from what I've heard around the plant community, is very particular and can act up and is very finicky. And I find that to be the case, although the leaves are so pretty that I just can't help but love it. All right, so I have mine in this cute little cherry pot, and she had some trouble in the beginning with some damaged leaves, but then, well, then we had a little bit more trouble whenever I had to chop and it had to start growing from a, oh my God, there's 2 vines? Well, that's interesting. It's got like, I didn't notice that. There's like a whole nother vine growing right there so there's 2 vines growing out of one? That's freaky. I have never seen that. That's super cool actually. Well, awesome. So then it had this leaf, which is gorgeous. But then I think from the move again and lack of watering, it is putting out a little bit of a spindly little baby, but that is okay because we will get back to business after this one. All right, number 3 is my philodendron glorios. No, I keep saying gloriosum. It's glorious. That mistake cost me $50 about 6 months ago. But the philodendron glorious is my next one. As I said, it looks very similar to my splendid, although it is higher because the leaves are bigger so far. It still has that, kind of that same yellowing problem that the splendid did. So I think again that it's underwatering, but we have some bigger leaves and we have a new leaf coming in that also looks pretty good. So, oh, let me show you from the beginning again. I'm gonna laugh if one time I do this and you guys are gonna be like, did you not see that mealybug on the 5th leaf? And I'm gonna be like, sure I didn't. So yes, that one is my number 3. Okay, it is time to get excited. Number 2 and a runner-up is going to be my philodendron majestic. And I apologize if you've been watching my last few videos where I've been mixing up philodendron and verrucosum. I've been doing that constantly, but now I think I have it in my brain right because I'm back on my planty stuff. But this is my philodendron majestic. I love this plant because the leaf shape is so pretty, and I don't know. Okay, so I grew up in South Texas, and if you don't know, that's kind of redneck country, depending on obviously what city you live in. But when I first saw this, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I literally was like, this is camouflage. It looks like camo. And I'm not a super country like style person, but I was like, it's like the pretty version of camouflage. It's so pretty. It's like sparkly or like luminescent kind of. Like that's just so pretty. So I don't know if anyone else thought that or if anyone thinks I'm really weird for thinking that. But I just love this one so much. I love the heart-shaped leaves and they're so pillowy. It's different from anything I have. Besides the gigas is kind of pillowy, but this is different. So we have a new leaf coming in here. Hopefully she'll be bigger and better. But I love this one, and that is why it's number 2. I think it's really funny that I had like 200 subscribers, and I had someone comment on my video, I think it was one of my houseplant tours, that I showed my cat too much. And I was like, that's such a crazy comment. And I wasn't like showing him like crazy, but I was like, you would think that people would like to see a cat this cute. Look at him. He's so sweet. He's like, why are you holding me? But some people hate fluffy, cute cats, I guess. So who knows? Maybe I was showing him too much, but I was kind of like, wow, 200 subscribers and already got haters. So made it in life. Cat tangent aside, my favorite philodendron that I have, climbing philodendron that I have, is, to no one's surprise, my philodendron varicosum. I mean, can you just like, come on, what's going on here? Like, this is insane. Like, this leaf color, the shininess, it's just like otherworldly. This is the kind of plant that I imagine is in the world, the Avatar. Like, this is crazy. Like the fluffy petioles is just otherworldly, and it's just so cool. I'm like, I can't believe I have this growing in my house. It's such an easy grower too. Like, it'll have some, if I underwater it, obviously it'll have some issues, but it's so forgiving. I feel like, surprisingly, it doesn't look like a beginner climbing philodendron, but compared to the gigas, the splendid, the melanochrysum, I would say the majestic and the varicosum have been my easiest, and that's also why they're my favorite, because it's very difficult to mess up. I feel if you're on top of keeping this, not even on top of, like, this is pretty forgiving. If you are not as good about keeping these moist and not as good about doing pole extensions, I feel like this is an easy one to have, and the majestic is an easy one to have. The splendid and the melanochrysum and the glorious are all going to be not as forgiving in my opinion. But I wanted to go through too why I have some of the moss poles in soil and some of them in leca. So I have, number one, you won't see any of my larger rooted plants in general in pon. Pon I save for basically only alocasia. All of my thick-rooted philodendrons and thick-rooted plants in general, if I do put them in a semi-hydro substrate, it's going to be leca. As you can see with my varicosum here, I like the leca because it's very heavy, and if you put the pole like deep down into the leca, it's like it stands very easily on its own. Let me show you. Like this, like it's standing without any assistance. The dirt, when it's dry, is very light and doesn't have a lot of weight to it. So I have to prop all of the poles up that are in soil against the wall or against something to give it some support, which is a little bit more annoying. But a lot of the reasons why I have some of my poles in soil is that I got the babies in soil. They were already potted up in soil, so I put it immediately into soil so I can get it on a moss pole so I could get it growing higher. And then once it goes high enough that I can do a chop and extend, I can chop off the bottom pole amount of the vining plant or the climbing plant, and then put that next set of extensions into leca, because the roots are in the pole now. They're not dependent on the soil anymore, and because there's no soil roots that have the bacteria on them going into the leca, you're not going to have an issue with root rot. Well, also because there's not really any roots anymore because you've cut off the section that has roots, if that makes any sense. If that was complicated or confused you, then I apologize. Don't listen to me. But that is the reason why I have some of them in soil and some in leca. Preferably trying to get all of them into leca eventually, because it's cleaner. It doesn't house or it doesn't really house or give access to as many pests to breed, especially fungus gnats. So that's a big reason why. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Wow, that was fast. Sorry, I ended the video, but I forgot to mention 2 philodendrons that are going to be climbing that I'm getting in soon. They are tissue culture, so it'll be a while before they're on a pole, but I wanted to mention that I'm getting a philodendron El Choco Red, which will be super exciting, and I'm also going to be getting a philodendron burl marked variegated, which I don't know, is that on a pole? Or is that self-heading? I can't remember. I think it's on a pole though, but I just wanted to mention that because it's going to be a vining philodendron or a climbing philodendron, and I'm getting it soon. So keep a lookout for that. And now this is actually me saying bye. Bye.